What is the difference between teaching English as a foreign language and teaching English as a second language?
Well, let me tell you, when I first started teaching English, and people would ask me, what do? I would tell them I'm teaching English as a second language, ESL. And it was years later that I realized all those years I had not been teaching ESL, I had been teaching EFL. And there is a world of difference. When I found that out, I was really amazed, because teaching English as a second language is kind of like cooking in a kitchen where you have all the appliances, you have all the ingredients, you have the can openers and the heaters and the refrigerator, and you just have to prepare this wonderful meal easily. Whereas teaching English as a foreign language is like being out in the desert with a campfire and an old pot, and you have to scrounge around and figure out how you're going to cook the meal, because you don't have all of the support and the background that you need. Now, the way that works is because when you teach English as a second language, you're teaching in a country which already speaks that language. That is the main language of the country. So the students, when they come in, they already have a kind of support system and a motivation. If they want to go out and buy a cup of coffee, they have to speak some English in order to be able to do that. If they want to make friends, they want to get information, learn things, they have to communicate in English to be able to do that. And therefore, there's a very strong motivation for them to learn English, as well as an enormous support system, because they're going to be surrounded with English all of the time. Whereas when you teach English as a foreign language, you're not surrounded by the language all the time. Most of the people, even your family, and even the people that are already learning English as a foreign language with you, will not be speaking to you in English as soon as you're out of the classroom. They will revert to their native language. And so you're not going to get the same amount of practice doing that, which means that you have to make a concerted effort to teach. It was like when we were talking about learning French if you were here in Oman, it's the same kind of thing. So you have to make an effort. You have to watch videos in English. You have to read books in English. You have to join groups that you agree beforehand that you're going to speak only in English. You have to do theater in English. So many things that, that you could do to enhance your learning.
What is more suitable for Omani students, teaching English as a second or a foreign language?
Oh, definitely teaching English as a foreign language. There's no question about it. Even though in Oman you have a little bit of a different situation, because generally most people in Oman speak at least a certain amount of English, but they're not going to be practicing English, among themselves and when they're out of the classroom. And because English is not the native language in Oman, then it would always fall under the category of teaching English as a foreign language rather than as a second language.
While you teach at the university, what areas of methodologies do you focus on more?
Well, to me, one of the most important areas is the area of motivation, because I feel like it doesn't matter, even if they need to learn English, even if they have to pass their TOEFL exams and get good grades and need English for graduation, when there's no motivation, you can take a person to water, but you can't make them drink. So you need motivation. So my idea is always to try to personalize the classes so that they can get involved in their own learning, in their own language thing, to become motivated to learn that language, because with motivation, they will learn.
You have been in Oman since 2008.
Yes.
And then probably you have noticed some challenges that Omani students face here while they study and learn English. What are challenges did you notice?
Well, to me, the challenges that students face the most, in my experience, is that when they start learning English as a foreign language, they already have a certain background of English. Because since I get them at the university level, they have already gone through school, and even though, school, receiving English during those years, even though they may not speak a word and it seems like they don't know anything, but they still have a certain base or a background that they have in English. And sometimes that becomes a challenge, because if they have learned things erroneously, they have many mistakes in their English, then it becomes quite a challenge to try to get them to speak correctly, to raise their proficiency level. It's not easy once they have already acquired the base. Also, the students Here at the university, very often they're under a strict curriculum because they have to get into their majors, they have to pass their TOEFL exams. So there's a lot of rush and pushing the students to get through, and I feel like sometimes we don't have time enough with the students to be thorough so that they can, acquire the language to the level and to the proficiency and to the accuracy that I would like myself. Personally, I would like to achieve that accuracy with them, but sometimes there's not the opportunity because they have a certain program that they have to go through, a certain test that they have to take, and so you can't always work on where their real errors are, where you could really work to try to correct them and to try to get them so that their language flows and really does become proficient.
As you know, here at the university or in Oman, basically, there is a program called Foundation. It's basically 1 year. Do you think that 1 year program is enough for students in order to get into the majors or in order to acquire the language?
As far as I'm concerned, if I were working with the students, at my own rate, I think that 1 year would definitely be enough. However, the problem is that very often, because of the same thing I was telling you before, that they have a certain curriculum, certain things that they have to meet, very often the students, look at it like this. The students come in to learn, all right. They want them to be at this level, and so everything is based on getting the students at this level. Therefore, the students come in and it's like you trying to swim in an ocean. You're battling with the waves, you're trying to get through, you can't get through because you never learned how to swim in shallow water.
Yeah.
So, and because the program is such, you can't really take them to shallow water where they need to be to get rid of their little arm floaties and so forth and be able to learn, with a solid base, like they feel comfortable, they feel confident because they know where they're going. They master what they do know. So students are trying to master something that they don't know on top of a base that they never learned or they never got correctly. And so this becomes an obstacle, and it makes the year, it could be a year of confusion rather than a year of real climbing in that language.